Web3 represents a new phase for the internet, one that is powered by blockchain technology, which enables decentralization and token-based economies. I'm Víctor Muñoz, developer advocate at METIS, and what I have learned will make you wonder about our future. I'm excited to introduce the Web3 Devs Podcast. Rami, I like to think about Ethereum as sort of the roads, the network roads of a big city. And then layers 2 would be a sort of the transportation system that aims to make these roads more efficient, right? For people to use. What do you think about this analogy? Is it correct? How do layers 2 work and why are they so important?
Yeah, I think your analogy is on point. I like to think of it as a network of networks, a network that gathers networks together. Very soon, it won't be user friendly at all to send a transaction on Ethereum. We know that like about a year or 2 years ago. I think you remember when a single transaction sending ETH or sending a USDT token to somebody would cost you like $100.
Yes,
and that was crazy times.
Absolutely crazy.
But good time, of course. But yeah, like this is what brought L2s to light. This is what brought the innovation of layer 2. As layer 2 aims to increase the throughput in transactions, increase the transactions that are sent, that are processed on a network. On this side, you can see in the near future there will be a lot more users, regular users on L2, and I think currently there is a lot more users on L2 than there is on Ethereum.
Right.
Because of the scaling aspect, and because L2s are currently innovating in decentralization, in security. Of course, like when L2s started, they started as a work in progress. Most L2s are still not completely decentralized, not completely not a complete layer 2, but everybody's working towards that. And
Absolutely.
as we become more decentralized, as we become more secure, more efficient, more scalable, we will be having much more users on layer 2. We'll be seeing a lot like bigger flow of users coming to L2.
I also see this as something that is inevitable, but some other people might argue that it's not going to happen that way, that you will have other layer 1s like, Solana or Avalanche. And I personally believe that all of them are going to, coexist. Do you agree with that?
I agree. Of course, like we saw that a lot of the layer 1s out there are now becoming layer 2s. Like for example, there is Silo becoming a layer 2. I think BSC becoming a layer 2 also very soon, an optimistic rollup. So like people are saying that Ethereum is really the main network, all right, and are coming to scale Ethereum rather than just working by themselves. But like other layer 1s can still coexist with Ethereum layer 1. But for example, like EVM layer 1s, unless they add like some other value, doesn't make much sense to coexist with the Ethereum layer 1. It makes sense to scale Ethereum, of course.
Exactly.
But
completely agree with you there.
Like
Hey, please go ahead.
Yeah, different chains, different virtual machines can also coexist, like to have this sort of like variety of options out there. Like some chains are more suitable for gaming, some chains are more suitable for DeFi applications, and yeah, it's good to have this variety.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a good thing, and I think it's going to keep happening. It's also inevitable. But then when it comes to scaling solutions, probably the most popular ones are rollups, right? And these are, like I mentioned before, one possible way of scaling Ethereum. And then I was wondering, what are like the advantages and the disadvantages that come with that?
Advantages, of course, there is a lot of advantages. There is like speed in processing a transaction. Of course, like if you try to send a transaction on an optimistic rollup, you see that your transaction is accepted just the moment you click on confirm. Of course, there is there is the transactions per second that are like the TPS count, the TPS potential for layer 2 optimistic rollups. There's like improving security, of course, improving decentralization currently. A lot of good things, a lot of advantages. EVM compatibility, of course,
Of
that's
course,
one of
that's
the
handy
main advantages. Yeah,
for sure.
like
And when it
you
comes
would
to
be able to
issues,
deploy. Yeah, you would be able to deploy the same apps that work on Ethereum on the layer 2 networks, and it would work just fine.
absolutely, absolutely. But and then when it comes to any disadvantages, is there something that it comes to your mind?
Of course, yeah. So currently, like we said, L2 rollups are still developing. Still, like a lot of L2 rollups are still in research, still work in progress. So some of the disadvantages would be centralization of the sequencer. Some of the disadvantages would be like the long finality time. So, for example, our finality time for a transaction to be so on our layer 2, for example, on METIS layer 2, when you send a transaction, you're basically giving it to the sequencer, and then after some number of transactions, the sequencer takes a batch of transactions and pushes it to layer 1. Now the verifiers would have to verify that these transactions are valid, that the sequencer didn't do anything wrong, that everything is right with these transactions. And there's this finality period of 1 week to finalize a transaction, to finalize a batch of transactions.
That's a
And
lot.
this is a tough one. Like some actually I also like had this thing when I first came to when I first tried to use METIS network, and I had some METIS tokens inside. So I tried to move them outside of METIS network to Ethereum, and it took me a week to do that. So
I don't think that users
this,
are going to settle for that, to be honest.
of course, and yeah, we have plans for fixing this.
Great. That this is a great moment then to ask you about what are hybrid rollups, how does it work, and what can we expect from that?
Sure. So hybrid rollups would utilize ZK, all right, but it would still be like in a nutshell. If I want to explain it to you in the easy way, and actually that's the only way that I have right now, because we still it is still in research. We still haven't like drew something out or designed the architecture of the whole thing, but we're still researching this. So hybrid rollups would utilize ZK proofs to prove the validity of transactions on layer 1, all right, but would still operate the same way on layer 2. And on layer 2, it would still be an EVM chain, all right, an EVM compatible chain. And this would give you the benefits of having a zero knowledge system on an EVM chain, which I think nobody has done yet up to this point. This would like some of the advantages that it can give. It can decrease the finality period from 7 days to like a few hours. I think we're looking at 4 hours or so. It can improve the throughput in transactions, like the number of transactions per second. And yeah, like you would have EVM still.
Amazing.
You don't have to give
EVM
up
is what
EVM.
we want. Exactly. We don't want to give up the EVM. It's such a beautiful thing. It's super useful. All of the tools have been built to be compatible with that, so it makes complete sense. And I understand also that is something very challenging and that you guys are working hard to get that technology working. And it's something that I'm really, really looking forward. But now I want to ask you about the decentralization of the sequencer, because at METIS, we are working on that, right? But there are
Yeah,
also more than one way to decentralize the sequencer on a layer 2. So could you explain how does that work?
of course. So like some of the other some other companies are decentralizing their sequencers. Like I know Espresso. I know there is Astra Network. So like, to give you an example, I think they're not really using proof of stake. I'm not sure about this. But like we use proof of stake. They use eigenlayer for data availability. We use something similar to that. If we were to compare, I mean, we use a data availability network called Memolabs, but we're of course moving to Ethereum for the decentralized sequencer upgrade. So like there's the Espresso sequencer. This is like from a user perspective. Users would be more like okay with the transaction finality period, because it would become much shorter. It would become like a few hours rather than 1 week. Actually, this is one of the reasons why like some users don't have do not use our network, or do not use like an optimistic network, because it takes 7 days to finalize a transaction. If you were to exit the network, you will need 7 days to access your funds. So they will be locked for 7 days. This is a tough one. And I think we will see like a big flow of users to a chain that would achieve hybrid rollup. And I think we can be looking at like new projects in the ecosystem, like games, like projects that require a high TPS to perform well.
Absolutely. Yeah, games are a good example of that. And
Games,
clearly,
social.
yes, social as well. People are not going to wait, that's for sure. And this is clearly a big blocker right now. But I'm super happy to hear that we are are working towards developing this technology. And so with that, I think that for today is enough. Next week we will have a lot of interesting questions about the sequencer and things that are coming pretty soon at METIS. So I would encourage everyone to stay tuned. Thank you very much, Rami, for this conversation. It has been a real pleasure.
Thank you, Victor.